Hey y'all, this is Audra Hicks, your Tennessee Realtor. I wanted to go over the property condition disclosure or exemption today with y'all. So please hit that subscribe button and stay tuned because I put the real in real estate. Okay, so I wanted to go over the Tennessee residential property condition disclosure today. This is something that we have all of our sellers fill out whenever we have a listing. If they have not lived there in 3 years, they can do a property condition exemption. But there are still things to fill out and answer in that as well. If you know of anything, whether you've lived there or you haven't, if you know of any latent defects in that property, you need to disclose them. Just disclose anything that you know that could be an issue with the property or you know is an issue with the property. But going over this, we put in the property address, seller's name, city, the property age, the date the seller acquired the property, do they occupy it, things like that. And then there's a list of different things that, you know, is more of a disclaimer for the seller here. So then we get to the parts where we're going to check mark things that we are going to include with the sale of the property. And we're going to know, you know, if a range or an oven or a sauna, an irrigation system is there, all of that. So they're going to check mark anything that pertains to the property that is staying with the property that is on this list. You know, is there a gas starter for fireplace, garage door openers, and how many fireplaces? Is there a hot tub? Do we have washer dryer hookups? Access to public streets. Then you're going to list your central, if you've got a central air and heating, or if it's a heat pump, things like that. So we know what we're looking at. Some people don't like gas, so if they know that there's gas, then they may not want to view the property there. But I've had so many that really hate gas, and then they end up buying a property with gas and love it. So, you know, I used to be fearful of gas, but I wouldn't go backwards after being able to cook on gas too and have that for our heating source and everything. We just had to replace our HVAC this month, and we went with a very high-end train, and it is all gas too. So we had that before. We wanted it again. Well, we had American Standard, but same thing. So it'll ask you for the roof type and the age of it so that you can disclose and kind of know and give to the buyer how old the roof is. They'll know on the front end how old the HVAC is. You know, anything that you know that you can put in here is always good. Then, is the seller aware of any defects, malfunctions, or any of the following? So it goes over like your interior walls, your ceilings, the roof, floors, doors, driveway, sidewalks, heating, air, slab, septic, sewer, electrical system, exterior walls, any of that. You would say yes, no, or unknown. If it's yes, then you need to explain why it is a yes and what's going on with it. So you need to disclose always. There are many times a buyer will put an offer in on a home, and when we check on insurance, it will let you know. They usually will let you know if there has been a lot of insurance claims on that house from that seller. If that seller did not disclose that they had certain issues, but they were fixed or whatever, then that's where the buyer would be asking that seller at that point too. So again, I'm not an attorney, I'm a real estate agent, but we do have forms for you to fill out to help you disclose and you know, try to look out for you throughout the whole process. So is the seller aware of any of the following? Yes, no, or unknown. and its substances, materials, or products which may be environmental hazards, like asbestos, radon gas, things like that. Features shared in common with adjoining landowners, such as walls, but not limited to fences and or driveways with joint rights and obligations for use and maintenance. You have to really want to buy into a property that has an easement, because most of the time you have to get along with that said neighbor and neighbors always change too. So some people don't care. They would just have that, easement. It depends on, I guess, whose property the easement's on. If it's not your property the easement's on, you might not care as much, but you have an easement going through somebody else's property. More often than not, it's going to be the person in the easement that has the easement on their property. But any authorized changes in roads, drainage, or utilities affecting the property, any changes since the most recent survey, any encroachments, easements, or similar items that may affect your ownership interest in the property, room additions, structural modifications, or other alterations or repairs made without necessary permits, room additions, structural modifications, or other alterations or repairs not in compliance with building codes, landfill, compacted or otherwise on the property or any portion thereof, any settling from any cause or slippage, sliding, or other soil problems, flooding, drainage, or grading problems, any requirement that flood insurance be maintained on the property. That's a necessary thing to let people know of if you do have to have flood insurance, because that way they need to know that on the front end and figure out how much that would be. I've sold many properties that do require flood insurance. It just depends. I've only had maybe one or two not go forward because of the cost of it. Other ones, it's not as bad. So that's something you need to check on with insurance and stuff. Property or structural damage from fire, earthquake, floods, or landslides. And if yes, then you need to explain what was repaired and all of that. That's why I was saying, if you turned anything in on your insurance, you need to disclose it in this property condition disclosure. Is the property serviced by a fire department? And then you need to list who the fire department is. Any zoning violations, neighborhood noise problems, subdivision or deed restrictions, and then you list who your HOA is, how much you pay, is it monthly, quarterly, yearly, whatever. Any common areas, facilities such as, but not limited to, pools, tennis courts, walkways, and other areas co-owned in undivided interest with others. Any notices of abatement or citations against the property. Any lawsuits or proposed lawsuits by or against the seller which will affect the sale of the property. Is any system, equipment, or part of the property being leased? Any exterior wall covering of the structure covered with exterior insulation and finished systems. This would be your stucco homes, so you need to disclose that. Is there an exterior injection well anywhere on the property? Is the seller aware of any perk tests or soil absorption rates being performed on the property that are determined or accepted by the Tennessee Department of Environmental and Conservation? Has any residence on the property ever been moved from its original foundation to another foundation? So that's a biggie. Some of these houses you see go down the street that are being moved, that's what they mean, is it been moved to a different foundation. Is this property in a planned unit development? And then they ask, is there a sinkhole? And was there a permit for a subsurface sewage disposal system for the property issued during a sewer moratorium? And then, you need to sign and date, but always disclose anything. Put it on your property disclosure. If it didn't have enough room, write it in there somewhere, do another piece of paper and add it to it, or wherever you can fit it in. But always just disclose. That way your buyer will know that you have tried to disclose everything. They'll feel good about things when they see it kind of properly filled out too. I make sure that my clients have filled out and answered each one of these. If not, they need to to do that because it needs to be properly filled out. When you go purchase a home, that's one thing that you need to make sure that you are given when you are interested in that property, and that way up front you have been explained everything in this property condition disclosure or exemption, and that way you can make an informed decision on moving forward and putting in an offer on the home. So hopefully this has been beneficial to you today. If you like my videos, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye, y'all.